Welcome to Week 13 of the MFL. We have big things going on this weekend. It's the last week of the regular season, but it definitely feels like the first week of the playoffs. Everyone has a mathematical chance of getting into the playoffs, so everything is on the line this weekend. First off, let's talk about the points title. King Fantasy's made a dramatic comeback. He's up 39 points on Spinal Tappers, 46 on RPM. You got the list right here. Anything goes. I mean, those aren't huge margins that can swing on 1 week. So last week, King Fantasy made up 90 points on Affinity. So anything's possible. If the King wins, it'll be his third points title in the last 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years. And with that, no other team has ever won more than one points title. So this is significant. In fact, we might rename the points championship to the King of Fantasy Points Championship after this happens this weekend, if it does. Obviously, like I said, it feels like the playoffs. If you get to 7 wins, you have a significant chance to get in the playoffs, unless both King Fantasy and Hall of Famers win this weekend. So if you get to 7, you're going to be in. But again, if King and Hall both win, it's going to come down to tiebreakers. So get those points. Mile High is the one team that could be Mile High or SB are the one teams, the 7-win teams that could potentially be out. But so they got to get their points. SB, you really have no shot of getting the points caught up. So you really need a loss by King Fantasy or Hall of Famers and a win for yourself. But it's going to be significant. Obviously, there's 3 teams: BRC, Jackpot, Idiots at 5 and 7. Not looking good. Basically, what happened, what they need is they need to win their matchups this week. They need a Hall of Famer win over Spinal Tappers, as well as that Jackpot win over King Fantasy, and they need to catch up in points. Because King Fantasy, if he goes to 6 and 7 and they get to 6 and 7, is going to still have a significant, 100-point lead on these guys. So they need an abysmal performance from King Fantasy, and they need to win high points at a high margin. So it's going to be interesting. Unfortunately, with these 5 and 7 teams, we have the matchup, the battle of the basement. Now in the MFL, I have been criticized from the outside, or at least it's been pointed out to me that I'm pretty nice to our managers. The truth is, I respect you, and your skills are unparalleled when it comes to other leagues. And so therefore, I can't knock these teams. We have the battle of the basement. We have Idiots Revenge and BRC. Guess what? These are the 2 teams that have been the most hosed this season. BRC spending most of the season at the top of the power rankings with a team that really looked like it could do it all, and then things just crumbled apart. Idiots has just been he's had an incredible comeback after a rough start where his points against were just overpowering. So you got this battle of the basement. My prediction doesn't matter. I think Idiots is going to win this because BRC is just falling apart. But he's one of the most aggressive managers. He's got skills, and I know he's going to be back next year to make up for what's happened this season to him. Mile High versus SB. We have a huge matchup this weekend. The winner potentially will get into the playoffs with a Hall of Famers loss. Now, or a King Fantasy loss. If they win, they get 7 and 6. If there's only 6, 7-win teams, they're gonna get in. So if Holla wins and King Fantasy wins, the winner of this matchup still has a chance. They just need to catch up with, say, Hall of Famers or Chappie if he loses, in order to break that tiebreaker and get in. So there's definitely, these guys got to give it their all because they can do it. Now, Mile High, he can get in if he catches Hall of Famers in that scenario where Hall of Famers, where they both win. Hall of Famers by 25 points, Chappie by 40, FN by 58, or JL by 67. So it's all possible. One of those teams could fall if they have a good week. Now SB, he would need to catch Hall of Famers. He's down 107 points, or Chappie 122. So SB's definitely hoping for one of these 2 teams to lose. Mile High has a little bit more control, even if both teams win. So good luck with that one. You know, if I'm going to have to put my money on it, I'm going with Mile High. You can't put anything past an MFL champion. He's been there. He's proven it. That's who I'm going with. Affinity versus JL Showtime. This is a significant matchup in the MFL. Both teams deserving of playoff runs. The winner, if they maintain a points lead, which is more likely than not over a winning SB or Mile High, in that scenario where King and Holla both win, the winner will get in if they can maintain that points lead. The loser still has a shot, even though they'd be on the outside. If Holla and King both lose, there's going to be a 6 and 7 team in the playoffs, and so they would have to make up the points difference on King Fantasy, which would be 73 for Affinity and 64 for JL Showtime. So the loser even still has a shot. They just got to be voting for jackpot this weekend. So with that, my prediction: JL Showtime. The guy's an MFL champion. He's been there. He's done it. I'm going to have to go with Showtime on this one. Chappie 74s and Team RPM square off in the battle for the regular season wins title. They both are 7 and 5. The winner will reach 8 wins, and that will be the most in the MFL. Despite RPM's career success against Force Play, which is actually 4 wins to 1. So 4 out of 5 times these guys have squared off, RPM has won. I've got to go with a 2-time MFL champion, Force Play. Force Play is going to win this one and actually get to 8 wins. He's taken advantage of a very favorable schedule with steady play throughout the season. He took advantage of JL Showtime's -5-point defensive performance last week. To get to this point, I think he's going to scrape by, despite his lack of confidence in his team. Anything goes, and 8 wins is respectable, and he's got a shot as much as anybody. So I'm going to go with Chappie on that one, but RPM still gets in, still a formidable team to go against in the playoffs. So good luck with those guys. King Fantasy and Jackpot have squared off 6 times. And to your shock, Jackpot has won 4 out of 6 games. Now this one, it couldn't be any more important for the King. If he loses, he's going to need help. And a points champion should never need help to get in the playoffs. So can Jackpot overtake the King? Can the Toilet Champ actually defeat the reigning champ and prevent him from getting into the playoffs to defend his title? If I was him, I'd hope not, because life's not going to be good if King Fantasy does not get into the playoffs. With a win or a Hall of Famer loss, King Fantasy is most likely in the playoffs. With a loss, you got to maintain those tiebreakers, which at this stage against those lower tiered teams, that's not going to be difficult. So my bet, I'm going with the champ. I'm going with the guy that's got the hardware. I'm going with King Fantasy on this one. And actually, with the next prediction, I see King Fantasy getting that 2nd seed, 1st round bye in the playoffs. Now, the matchup that most people have been waiting for, Hall of Famers versus Spinal Tappers, this is significant beyond any matchup because Hall of Famers really controls the destiny of multiple teams. If he wins and King Fantasy wins, none of those teams that have 5 wins have a shot, obviously. The Mile High SB matchup is significantly impacted by that. If both teams win, then the winner of that matchup still has to make up ground points-wise. So Hall of Famers, one of our steadiest players this season with a team that just kind of keeps turning out 90 to 100-point performances. He's got a good shot, and Hall of Famers has a good shot because Spinal Tappers has Gronk out. He had that mixed performance on that Hail Mary matchup with Aaron Rodgers the other night, which obviously in the end those final points, which are about a 7-point play a big part in this. But still, if I'm putting my money down, I'm saying Hall of Famers wins this game. Spinal Tappers goes down, and in this loss for Spinal Tappers, if he does lose, he goes from the #1 seed, falling most likely out of the top 2 seeds. So he'll have to play week 1 of the playoffs. He'll lose that first round bye, and he'll likely lose the points title. So this could be a real significant. He probably feels like, hey, I'm comfortable, I'm good. But there's a lot on the line right here for Spinal Tappers. And so if he can come through, wow, what a statement.
What does it take to be #1? 2 is not a winner, and 3 nobody remembers. What does it take to be #1?
When it comes to the final power rankings of the season, there is some consistency with Yahoo's rankings as well as the Commission's rankings. In the King Fantasy, the defending MFL champion is your #1 power ranked team. And this is just because of the roster. The lineup that he puts out there is better than everyone else's. I think that at #2, JL Showtime, just his managerial skills mixed with the talent he has on his roster. He's got holes, but less holes than most people. RPM and Spinal Tappers 3 and 4 make a lot of sense to me. They're both have as good a chance as anybody to get in. And then you got Chappie filling up the #5 spot or so. And in the end, obviously these lower ranked teams, they're sitting down there. It doesn't really matter to them. They gave it their all. They're sitting there, 12 through 7, most likely on the outside. I think that Mile High is the one team that could end up making the dance, not being in the top 6 of the power ranked teams. For the most part, there's been consistency as long as things hold true. Because again, if King Fantasy loses this matchup and Hall of Famers pulls out the win, you have a points champion that's sitting on the outside of the playoffs. You know what the commissioner wants to do with that? He wants to make the Toilet Bowl championship the real championship, because it's not fair otherwise. And obviously in fantasy, life's not fair. But a points champion should always have a shot at winning the title, especially if it's a 2-time MFL defending champion. So jackpot, do us all a favor. Don't mess with history. Don't mess with destiny. And lay down. I don't mean don't start your players. I mean, give it your best shot. But let them know what is on the line. And on that note, good luck. Week 13. We have the playoffs starting next week. So do your best this weekend. And I know I'm going to do my best as the commissioner. I know the King is going to put his best performance together and try to win home that points title and a first round bye.